Before we start, I want to acknowledge that this deep dive kind of goes into some pretty sensitive topics, like suicide and manipulation and things like that.
Yeah.
And if anything we discuss resonates with you in maybe like a difficult way, please remember you're not alone.
Yeah.
We've compiled some resources for support in the show notes and on our website.
That's really important. We want to ensure that you have access to any support that you might need
Right.
while we sort of unpack and explore this case.
Okay, so let's dive into the story of Renee Marsden, a 20-year-old from Sydney, Australia.
Okay.
She had a close-knit family, a particularly strong bond with her mother, Teresa, and seemed to have a bright future ahead. But in 2013, Renee disappeared, and the circumstances surrounding her vanishing were anything but ordinary.
What makes this case so captivating and ultimately tragic is this intricate web of relationships
Right.
at its heart.
Yeah.
Specifically, Renee's online romance with a man named Braden Spati and the unsettling involvement of her best friend, Camila Zidan. These connections are key to unraveling the mystery.
That's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
Yeah.
What happened to Renee, and what roles did this online relationship and Camila play in her disappearance?
It's a story with twists and turns you wouldn't believe.
Okay.
It all began in late 2011 when Renee was introduced to Braden through Camila.
So Camila, the best friend, played matchmaker.
That's right.
It sounds like something out of a romantic comedy, except this story takes a much darker turn.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Right from the start, this relationship had a unique and perhaps concerning context.
Okay.
Braden was in prison, serving time for manslaughter,
Wow.
after a motorcycle accident that resulted in the death of his best friend.
Whoa, that's a pretty big red flag right off the bat.
Yeah.
Most people would be hesitant to get involved with someone in prison,
Yeah?
especially for such a serious crime. But Renee was drawn to him.
Yes. And this is where the psychological aspect of the case comes in.
Okay.
Braden was very skilled at creating a persona that appealed to Renee's desires.
Right.
He claimed to be from a wealthy family,
Yeah.
spoke about a successful business he was building while incarcerated, and dreamt of marriage and family.
Oh, wow.
He essentially mirrored everything Renee hoped for in a partner.
So he crafted this ideal image.
Exactly.
Despite the unusual circumstances, it's almost textbook manipulation.
It is.
Creating this sense of shared destiny.
Exactly. And the fact that their entire relationship unfolded over text messages and social media allowed Braden to carefully control the narrative and maintain that carefully constructed persona.
Oh, wow.
They never even met in person.
And Renee fell for it hard. She even tattooed his name on her chest,
She did.
defended him to everyone, and broke off an engagement to another man because of her commitment to Braden.
Wow.
It's almost like she was under a spell.
It's important to point out that there were warning signs even early on.
Okay.
Braden exhibited possessive and controlling behavior through his messages.
Mm-hmm.
He expressed jealousy over her clothing,
Yeah.
her interactions with other people, and even became verbally abusive towards Renee and her mother.
This behavior sounds like classic textbook manipulation, isolating her, making her dependent on him, and then using that dependency to control her actions. It's alarming how easily this can happen, even through digital communication.
Absolutely. And this is where Camila's role becomes even more intriguing.
Okay.
On the surface, she seemed supportive of the relationship.
Okay.
However, behind the scenes, things were much more complicated.
So there's more to Camilla than meets the eye. This best friend turned matchmaker might have a hidden agenda. It sounds like we're about to enter the next layer of this complex story.
We are.
Okay.
Renee's family began noticing changes in her behavior.
Mm.
She became withdrawn, stopped attending school as regularly, and her grades started to decline. It was a clear indication that something was wrong.
And this is where Camila's actions take a darker turn, right?
Yes.
The seemingly supportive friend might have a darker side. Tell me more about these changes and what specifically Camila was doing.
Well, there are instances of some concerning behavior from Camila. Constant phone calls following Renee, and even physical altercations like hair pulling
Wow.
and grabbing the steering wheel while Renee was driving.
Oh my gosh.
This possessive behavior really stands in a stark contrast to the image of the supportive friend she presented, especially concerning Renee's relationship with Braden.
Yeah, it's like a double layer of manipulation.
Exactly.
One coming from Braden through the digital world and the other from Camila and their physical reality.
Yeah,
And then Renee disappears.
that's right.
It starts with some upsetting text messages from Braden hinting at a breakup.
Renee was devastated.
Oh,
She was crying, unable to go back to work,
yeah.
and sent cryptic goodbye messages to her mother and Camila.
Wow.
This was a clear indication that she was in deep emotional distress.
And her car was found near the Gap, a notorious suicide spot.
Yes.
But you mentioned that the details were unsettling. What didn't add up?
The car was empty. Her shoes were left behind.
Oh, wow.
And written on the window were the words, "I love you, Braden." It painted a picture of a desperate act driven by heartbreak.
Teresa Renee's mother refused to believe it was suicide. She started investigating, and the police were brought in this mother's intuition.
Yes.
Her refusal to accept the easy answer becomes a driving force in uncovering the truth.
Absolutely. And that's when things took an unexpected turn. The police couldn't find any record of Braden Spati in the prison system.
So this seemingly central figure this man Renee was so devoted to doesn't seem to exist.
He seemed to have vanished.
What was the reaction to this discovery?
People close to Renee started noticing similarities between Braden's communication style and Camila's.
Okay.
Renee's ex-boyfriend Angus and even her cousin Stephanie had expressed doubts about Braden's authenticity from the beginning. They suspected Camila was involved somehow.
That's incredible. Their intuition, their sense that something wasn't right about Braden proved to be spot on.
It did.
How'd the investigation unfold from there?
The focus shifted to Camila. The police uncovered phone records, deleted messages, and inconsistencies in her statements. Everything pointed towards her.
This best friend turned matchmaker is now the prime suspect. What a shocking twist. What was the final piece of the puzzle that revealed the truth?
The breakthrough came when they finally accessed the messages on Renee's old iPhone. Thousands of scrambled messages, painstakingly pieced together by Renee's father, Mark, revealed the horrifying truth.
Wow.
Camila had been posing as Braden all along.
It's mind-blowing. The level of deception, the dedication to maintaining this elaborate charade is truly chilling. But why, what could have motivated Camila to do this to her best friend, to understand this? We need to delve into the aftermath and the coroner's inquest that followed.
Yeah, the inquest aimed to unravel Camila's role in Renee's death. However, there was a significant development. Camila was granted immunity in exchange for her testimony.
Immunity, that means anything she said couldn't be used against her in court.
That's right.
It seems like a risky move. What did she reveal during the inquest?
Camila denied any wrongdoing. She claimed to have a loving and supportive friendship with Renee and insisted that the Braden persona was just a cover for a secret romantic relationship between them.
A secret romance. So she was claiming they were both pretending Braden was real to hide their own relationship.
According to her, Renee was complicit in the fabrication.
But why go to such lengths? It seems far-fetched.
Exactly. Her explanation didn't align with the evidence arose. Renee's messages expressed confusion about never meeting Braden, frustration over his refusal to let her speak to his lawyer.
Yeah.
And even attempts to locate a supposed storage unit he owned. These actions don't make sense if she knew he was a fabrication.
If she was aware of the deception, wouldn't she have acted differently? What about all the wedding plans, the photographer, the contact with the Greek consulate about Braden's visa?
Right.
It sounds like Renee was fully invested in a future with a man she believed was real.
The coroner saw through Camila's story. The evidence, including Renee's messages and actions, overwhelmingly indicated that she believed Braden was real. The coroner concluded that Camila created Braden to manipulate and control Renee, and that this manipulation ultimately led to Renee's suicide.
That conclusion is both tragic and disturbing. This case exposes the dark side of online relationships and the devastating consequences of manipulation and emotional abuse. But what about Camila? Did she face any repercussions for her actions?
Unfortunately, because of the immunity deal, she couldn't be charged with any crime directly related to Renee's death.
It seems like a frustrating outcome considering the impact of her actions. Was there anything positive that came out of this tragedy? Did the inquest lead to any recommendations for change?
The coroner strongly criticized Camila's lack of remorse and attempts to deflect blame onto Renee's family. They also recognized the need for legal reform to address nonviolent domestic abuse, recommending that catfishing, when used to intentionally cause harm, should be considered a criminal offense.
It's not just online pranks or harmless deception. In cases like Renee's, catfishing becomes a weapon for emotional abuse and control. Is there a specific term for this type of abuse?
Yes, it's called coercive control. It's a pattern of behavior that seeks to dominate and isolate a partner or friend. Renee's case, though not a romantic relationship in the traditional sense, is a chilling example of how coercive control can operate through online platforms. It highlights the need for stronger legal protections for victims.
It sounds like Renee's case has the potential to spark positive change. This devastating loss could be the catalyst for legal reform that protects others from similar manipulation.
That's the hope Renee's family has been campaigning tirelessly for Renee's Law, which aims to make catfishing a criminal offense in cases where it's used with the intention to cause harm.
Turning their grief into a fight for justice for Renee and for potential future victims, it's a powerful testament to their love and determination. Do we know anything about the progress of this campaign?
They've started a petition that has gained considerable public support. We've included a link in the show notes for anyone interested in learning more or getting involved. It's a reminder that even in the face of tragedy, we can work to create positive change and protect others from similar harm.
It's inspiring to see how they've channeled their pain into action so far. We focused on Renee and Camila. But there's another individual whose experience in this story is crucial to understand, the man whose photo was used to create the fictitious Braden.
You're talking about Cameron. He was completely innocent.
Yeah.
His photo taken at a nightclub was stolen and used by Camila for her elaborate fabrication. He became an unintended victim caught in the web of Camila's lies.
It's hard to imagine the shock and horror of discovering you've been used in such a way, especially in a case as tragic as this. What was the impact on Cameron's life?
He was understandably terrified. The anxiety of being associated with a high-profile case involving suicide and manipulation led him to fear leaving his own home.
It's a stark reminder that our online actions, even seemingly innocuous ones like posting a photo, can have unforeseen and devastating consequences.
Absolutely. Despite this traumatic experience, Cameron has shown incredible strength. He has spoken out about what happened to him and become a vocal supporter of Renee's law.
Turning a horrifying experience into a positive force for change, it's truly remarkable.
This brings us to a fascinating point. This case highlights the increasingly complex landscape of online relationships and the potential for harm. Renee's story underscores the need for legal reform to adapt to this evolving digital world.
We've discussed Renee's law, but are there other existing laws that could be expanded to offer greater protection?
Renee's case highlights the need to broaden existing laws like Carly's law. Currently, it focuses on the online grooming of minors for sexual purposes, but we need to encompass a wider range of online abuse and manipulation to protect adults from predators like Camila.
Renee's case is a wake-up call. It forces us to confront the ethical implications of technology, the evolving nature of relationships, and the urgent need for safeguards in the digital world. We need to be having these conversations as a society. What can listeners do to contribute to this change?
Supporting the Marsden family's fight for Renee's law is a powerful way to make a difference. You can sign the petition, raise awareness, and contact your elected officials to advocate for stronger legal protections against catfishing and online abuse.
Those are concrete steps anyone can take to support this crucial cause. We'll provide the petition link and additional resources in the show notes. But what about on a more individual level? How can we protect ourselves and those around us from similar situations?
It starts with awareness. We need to be mindful of our online interactions. Be cautious, be skeptical, and don't be afraid to question what you see or who you interact with if something feels off. Trust your instincts.
Renee's cousin Stephanie made an insightful point. She said it wasn't Renee's lack of intelligence that made her vulnerable, but her kindness and willingness to trust she loved deeply and lived with her heart on her sleeve.
That's a crucial observation.
Yeah.
It challenges the stereotype of the naive catfish victim and reminds us that anyone, regardless of intelligence or savviness, can be manipulated, especially if they possess qualities like trust and empathy.
It's a reminder that vulnerability can be both a strength and a weakness. We need to be mindful of those who might exploit these qualities, both online and offline.
Exactly. We all have a responsibility to look out for one another, to offer support and guidance, and to challenge behaviors that seem harmful or exploitative.
This conversation also raises questions about the responsibility of social media companies and online platforms in preventing abuse. What role should they play in moderating content, preventing fake profiles, and supporting victims of harassment?
It's a complex issue with ongoing debate. What's clear is that these companies have a responsibility to contribute to creating a safer online environment.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've explored catfishing, emotional abuse, coercive control, the fight for Renee's law, and the lasting impact this tragedy has had on everyone involved. It's heavy stuff, but understanding the complexities of this case is crucial.
Renee's story is a cautionary tale, but it also offers a glimmer of hope. The tireless efforts of her family and the bravery of individuals like Cameron demonstrate that positive change is possible.
We've uncovered a deeply disturbing case of online deception and manipulation with tragic consequences. But amidst the darkness, there are lessons to be learned and actions we can take to protect ourselves and others. Will delve deeper into those lessons in the final part of this episode. So we've explored the really devastating impact of Renee's story and how it's prompting these important conversations about online safety and legal reform.
Yeah.
But what can we as individuals learn from this tragedy? What are the key takeaways you hope our listener will kind of reflect on?
What really stands out to me is how easily the lines between the digital world and our real lives can blur.
Right.
I mean, the internet offers incredible opportunities for connection. But as Renee's story tragically demonstrates, it also provides this fertile ground for deception and manipulation with real-world consequences.
Yeah, it's a chilling reminder that we can't always take what we see online at face value.
Right.
People can construct these elaborate facades, entire identities that have no basis in reality.
And it's not limited to romantic relationships.
Right.
Catfishing can occur in various online interactions, friendships, business dealings, even within families.
Mm-hmm.
The intent to deceive and manipulate for personal gain is the common thread.
So how do we protect ourselves? It's easy to say, be careful who you trust online, but it's not always that simple.
You're right, it requires a combination of awareness, intuition, and caution. Be mindful of the red flags, trust your gut instincts, and be wary of sharing personal information too readily. If something feels off, it probably is.
Renee's cousin Stephanie mentioned that it wasn't Renee's lack of intelligence that made her vulnerable, but her kindness and willingness to trust.
Right.
It challenges the stereotype of the naive catfish victim.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyone, regardless of intelligence or savvy, can be targeted and manipulated, especially those who are naturally trusting or empathetic.
Right. It highlights the responsibility we all have to look out for one another, to offer support and guidance, and to challenge behaviors that seem harmful or exploitative. We need to foster a culture of online awareness and support.
Yeah, and while individual responsibility is crucial, we can't ignore the role of the platforms themselves.
Right.
Social media companies and dating apps must take proactive steps to moderate content, prevent the creation of fake profiles, and provide resources and support for users experiencing harassment or abuse.
It's a shared responsibility to create a safer online environment. What can listeners do to actively contribute to this change beyond supporting Renee's law?
Well, educate yourself and others about online safety. Share resources, engage in conversations about responsible online behavior, and report suspicious activity to the appropriate platforms.
It sounds like awareness and proactive engagement are key. Renee's story isn't just a tragic tale of manipulation. It's a call to action for all of us to be more vigilant, informed, and supportive in the digital age.
Exactly. And if you or someone you know is experiencing any form of abuse or manipulation online or offline, please reach out for help. You are not alone, and there are resources available.
We've included helpful links in the show notes and on our website. Renee Marsden's story is a stark reminder of the dark potential of the internet, but it also illuminates the resilience of the human spirit and the power of collective action.
Her family's fight for Renee's law and the courage of individuals like Cameron offer a glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
By raising awareness, advocating for change, and supporting one another, we can work towards a safer and more responsible online world.
This deep dive has been a journey into a really complex and heartbreaking case. We hope you, our listener, leave with a renewed sense of awareness, a commitment to online safety, and the knowledge that you have the power to make a difference. Let's all work together to prevent tragedies like Renee's from happening again.